Welcome at conference stage 2 here at Digitale Leute Summit. My name is Annalena Kümpel. I'm your host for this stage today. Who is at Digitale Leute Summit for the first time? A lot of you. Any regulars here who has been here before? Okay, the regulars know this is of course a place for learning, but this is also a place of joy. We're not only here to learn from our speakers, but we're also here to have fun and to celebrate the speakers and to celebrate ourselves and the whole digital scene that comes together here. So before I can introduce our first speaker, you have to pass the joy check, the vibe check for today. So without any explanation, let's give this a try. And please get loud to welcome yourselves at Digitale Leute Summit 2024. Actually, that was okay-ish. Can we try that a little bit better and pour all the joy you have in you? Maybe grab some from yesterday if you didn't drink enough coffee to have enough for today, and bring that to the next applause. Let's try that again. Wonderful. This is a worthy Digitale Leute crowd. I love you so much. Wonderful. That statue here right next to me is actually not here for decoration. They're trying to get louder. But that's our first speaker. Christoph Rottler is the Managing Director DACH at Kameleoon. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You can just call it Kameleoon.
Kameleon?
Yes.
Kameleon, like
More
that
easy.
Sweet little animal. Christoph brings a lot of experience in A/B testing, and he has implemented actually hundreds of conversion optimization projects. His topic, getting rid of the unnecessary, why experimentation lowers cost and saves resources. Please, with all the joy you have, welcome Christoph Rottler.
Thanks. Thank you very much for the introduction. Yes, actually, she already told us it's a place to have fun. It's a place to try things. I would love to add the fact that it's a place to run experiments, because that's what I'm actually doing today. I've never been on stage speaking English, trying my very best. I hope you can understand me. I hope it's quite better than what Günther Oettinger or other politicians in Germany used to do. So let's give it a try. Let me introduce myself and what drove me to talk about getting rid of the unnecessary. As she already told, I've implemented hundreds of CRO projects. I can't even count how many A/B tests I was running. And actually, I used to be the head of consulting at Kameleoon for 6 years before becoming managing director. And of course, we serve a lot of customers, but this won't be a sales pitch today. It's more about the topic. Yes, I am on LinkedIn. Yes, I would love to be connected with you. But what I see quite often in the CRO LinkedIn bubble I'm part of is success stories, use cases. And if you're also part of that bubble, you will realize that 80% of the time, the use cases are about adding something new to the website. So we may end up with product detail pages looking like the one from Temu. Maybe one has the brilliant idea to add a Wheel of Fortune. But all of these things do have costs. And we will talk about this later on. At the same time, I'm someone who loves simplicity. If you are into furnitures, you may realize that this is the typical Bauhaus lamp. And one of the slogans or principles of Bauhaus is actually form follows function, which can be roughly translated to keep it short and simple. How many product people are in here? So CPOs, product owners. Would you be so kind to raise your hand? Wonderful. I'm pretty sure most of you already know the term feature creep. If not, here's an explanation or a definition. In Germany, we would call it Featureitis, which actually sounds pretty good to me, but today we're talking in English. And yes, feature creep is also real in CRO. As I said, if you add new things constantly, you will run into problems. You have to come up with the things relevant to release in the next sprint. And if people are adding constantly more stuff, you may have an issue. The same thing is if you add things to your website or to your products that aren't useful, you're actually reducing the value of your product. If we take it literal for websites, the more you add to your page, the slower it gets. So most often it's the SEO department that is in charge of page speed. They will come at you telling you, maybe we need to get rid of certain things. We need to make it faster. And by deleting things from your website, you're one step closer to it. And of course, each element on the website or in your product has maintenance costs. Every time you release a new version, you have to check if it's working. And at least from my point of view, I feel better without having a feature than being confronted with a feature that is not working properly. You can drive me crazy if I'm accessing your website or if I'm using your app and I'm trying to achieve a goal, but I can't because it's broken. So keep in mind that every element has some kind of maintenance costs. Since there are a lot of CPOs, product owners in here, have you ever had the case that you had too few features on your roadmap? Too few ideas, people trying to convince you to realize? Yes, we can start a poll, but I'm pretty sure that most of you will agree that you have plenty things to do, that you're not lacking of ideas, that you rather have to focus and prioritize what should be done next. So, as I said, simplicity is key. Actually, the phrase form follows function isn't from Bauhaus. It dates back to the 19th century. Please don't force me to spell this name. Horatio Grino? Guess so. I hope that fits. Simplicity is key. This is pretty simple. What is the job to be done here? Anyone has an idea what the job to be done is for the user accessing google.com? Okay, it's quite early in the morning. I will solve that riddle for you. Sending a search query. That's it. There is not much more to do than sending a search query. Let's take a more advanced thing, like a product detail page. On a product detail page, what is the job to be done? To me, it's adding a product to cart. So, this is how the PDP would look like if you take it literal. You may need the name of the product or an image. We can discuss about that one, but at least you need something to identify that it's actually the product you want to add to cart, and of course you need the add to cart button, or as we call it in German, in den Warenkorb. In this case, it's also necessary to have these kind of drop-down elements to come to the right version of the product you need. But once again, this is how it looks like if you access Obi at the moment, and this is how it looks like if you get rid of all the things that you don't need from a functional perspective. But I would say there are additional or secondary jobs to be done on a PDP for a user. He needs to understand the product. He needs to evaluate the price, the product, to see if it actually fits their needs. And maybe another one, confirm purchase logistics, purchase and logistics, like that. I guess we can come up with other jobs to be done, to be fair. Let's take one of the secondary jobs to be done. Understand the product. This could be done by adding images, but it could also be done by adding a product description. This is a screenshot from Zalando. Obviously, they have product images, but what they don't have is a product description. And as far as I know, the people from Zalando, they have tested it. They have checked out if it's necessary to have a product description, because if it isn't, we can save a lot of time for the CRM managers, for the one that is in charge of the PIM, Product Information Management System. Actually, for copywriters, if we don't need it, why spending money on it? Okay, I have to go back. Actually, the part with the images is a light box. That's how I would call it. So you can click on the image to make it even bigger. Is it necessary to have? According to the Snox website, it isn't. So what I'm trying to tell you, there are different ways to succeed, and it's not so easy to follow these 100 best practices you can download as a resource on LinkedIn. You have to give it a try yourself. Let's take the next one. Evaluate the value and justify the price. I would say on the Obi page it is actually the product ratings and the comments section. What I love about this approach actually is the fact that they will show you a positive one and a negative one. Pro tip, I usually take a look at the 3-star ratings, because most often they have pros and cons, and just because someone is not happy with one part of the product, it doesn't mean that it bothers me. Back to Zalando. They don't have any kind of reviews, any kind of ratings. So it seems like it is not necessary to have. And back to the topic I wanted to talk about. We have to challenge elements on our websites, in our apps, in our products, no matter how you call it. And I tried to come up with a kind of process. Since most people in here are at least on the same level when it comes to research than I am, I will not go deep into how you can do research. Just another tip from my side, I always love to get in touch with the people that are doing customer care. So I did interviews with them. I told them to forward me all the emails where customers are complaining about stuff. That's the best source to find out what works, what doesn't work, and should it work, or is it okay to get rid of it. So we have to somehow identify the elements or the features in your product to see if they are beneficial for the metric or North Star metric, just to use another kind of buzzword, part of our industry, obviously, or is it not necessary to have? The next part is the same as in every A/B testing, CRO process. We have to generate a hypothesis, because what we are actually trying to do is either falsify or verify the hypothesis we said. Yes, some may say we don't need that, but to be fair to you, the way I've been introduced to the topic is from a scientific perspective. So when it comes to this, I'm not really starting a discussion with you. A hypothesis is something that is so useful to build. It makes you aware of the fact that you have to formalize, not just throwing in an idea. A lot of people can do that, but to formalize why we should get rid of this one, because, and so on and so on. You will find a lot of templates on how to write a hypothesis. If you're still struggling, feel free to reach out to me at any time. I can forward you the one I like the most. Again, in here are many CPOs, product owners, and you have roadmaps that are, well, containing more ideas or feature requests than you can fulfill. So you're already aware of how to prioritize. I don't know which framework you like the most. Actually, I'm a pretty lazy guy, and I love simplicity. So the framework I usually use for prioritization is just Pi. Nothing spectacular, but it does the job. But now we're coming to creating your variations. And the best thing about getting rid of things is, from a technical perspective, it's one of the most easy A/B tests you can create. Even though you may not be familiar with CSS, it's not much more than identifying the CSS selector of the according element and one line of display none. As soon as you do this in your variation, the element will be gone. If you're kind of worried about using code and so on, you can find what you see is what you get editors or no-code, low-code editors, no matter how you'd like to call them. And most often it's just one click on an element like this one. Element is here, element is gone, element is here, element is gone, and so on, and so on. So it's a pretty easy A/B testing setup compared to what you usually do, or what we usually do. I've once did a redesign of a checkout process, client side. It was an absolute mess. There are so many dependencies, you cannot have in mind all of them. So we spent roughly 200 hours to make this one working. In the end, well, the new approach turned out to be flat. So no uplift, no downlift. One may say we wasted time, energy, resources. I would rather tell this person, no, we learned a lot of things. We learned what works, what isn't working, and if you use additional tools, you can also get an idea of why it's working or why it isn't working. So when it comes to A/B testing, it's not always about having an uplift. Quite often, I'm fine with an experiment that turns out to be flat, even with experiments that have a downlift. Some may say I'm bipolar, but either I come up with a variation that leads to an uplift, so we will earn more money, or if the variation produces a downlift, well, seems like I saved a lot of CPOs, product owners in here, from building the whole feature to the end. Because what I'm always trying to do when running A/B tests, try it on a small scale, something like a fake door, like an MVP. Once we have the feedback that it might be interesting for users, we can justify the additional costs to actually develop the whole feature. So, next one, analyzing the results. And as I was trying to tell you before, most often, or at least if you stick to what these LinkedIn CRO agencies are telling you, the only thing that matters are uplifts. You don't need learnings, you just need to make more revenue, that your boss can buy another Porsche 911, or that you may get your bonus at the end of the year. But in this kind of setup, analyzing your results is slightly different. What we're actually doing is a non-inferiority test, wonderful word, and it actually comes from the medical industry. Let's say we take a product like aspirin from Bayer. After a certain amount of years, don't ask me how much it is, I think it's 20 years, they can, or others can copy that product. So there's no protection anymore. And in such medical tests, they check if a copy of aspirin works at least as good as aspirin. So we don't need an uplift. If it works as good as aspirin, that's absolutely fine. Because most often it costs less or it has fewer side effects. The first one I wanted to introduce is we got rid of an element and the results indicate that there is no uplift, no downlift, so it's actually flat. In this case, we can state that the element or the feature isn't adding benefit for the user, but at least it's not harmful. And if there are costs, and I told you each element on your product, on your website has costs, then it might be better to get rid of it. Nice thing to it as well. If we get rid of some things, we have more space for new things. Not to tell you that you should add always new things, but you have the opportunity. The second way that your results can come up with or turn out is what I would call the next, which means in your results you will see a downlift for your main KPI. In this case, actually the feature we got rid of was beneficial for the user, but now we have the justification that it's worth having maintenance costs, that it's worth keeping it on the website. And one of the reasons why I joined this industry is I was quite young. I had a lot of ideas and I had a strong opinion. I was quite confident. But when you are young and you are in front of C-levels from multinational corporations, they may not believe your opinion. But it's hard for them to not follow your recommendation if you can justify by data that it's better to do it this way. And the worst thing you can tell me is, we did it always like this. Have you ever checked if you're doing it right? If you give me the task to come up with product recommendations on your product detail page, I can at least tell you 10 different positions, 4 to 5 different visualizations of the product recommendations, not even talking about the different algorithms you can use or you can combine. Since we have product recommendations in the product now for roughly 1.5 years, 2 years, one of the last things I did as head of consulting was writing a playbook for for our conversion rate consultants, telling them how to come up with a product recommendation experimentation strategy. Because what I saw most often is someone added product recommendations to a product detail page, but I have never tested, is it this algorithm, is it that algorithm? Should we combine several algorithms? So I tried to do my best in math, and at least from our product, I can tell that I ended up with billions of possible combinations of algorithms, design, and positioning. So doing such kind of analysis is actually really, really helpful. And the one that I would call a gem, you were hiding the element and you actually have an uplift, which means you found an element that is harmful for your business, that is not adding any benefit to your users. No, they are probably confused about it, and I would have loved to show to you the use case I actually faced on Sunday evening. I was using the ZDF TV app, and they have a section called Sendungen von A bis Z. So you will see all the different movies and series they offer in a list starting with A, going all the way down to Z. I would tell them check how useful it actually is, because the most painful letter you can be confronted with, I guess we don't need this one, is actually the letter D, at least in German. Every second, third movie series starts with an article, and in German they are der, die, das. So you will have a list of movies, series, you're searching one, and you have to get through all these der, die, das stuff. Quite painful. The worst part of this section was actually, from this user interface, you were not able to access search. So I would try to analyze, do we really need this A to Z section, or isn't it better to come up with a properly working search? This is something about the gem. And to give you some ideas with that you can make use of, this is something I tested years ago. Actually, I'm not allowed to tell you on which website it was, and the product I'm showcasing here is just a placeholder. But the product was a commonly used product every one of you is aware of, and it's coming from a worldwide active company. So what they were doing is not only having product descriptions and product images, and if we take this product, I don't see the necessity to see the blue box in 8 different angles, open, closed, and so on. So that was already a lot of information a user has to see or is being forced to deal with. But what they did is they actually had a video on how to use the product. And I can tell you, I'm probably the least familiar person when it comes to cosmetics. I do the typical hygiene stuff like showering and so on. I have one product covering most of my needs. So, but of course I know how to use a product like this. Do you think anyone really needs to see how someone is using some cream to put it to their face? And the next thing they had was a huge infographic on the website. To give you an idea of how big the infographic was, it was actually 3.4 megabyte to download. And as I said, this was years ago, which means at that time the internet was as bad as it is today. So if you were trying to access it while taking Deutsche Bahn, you may have failed. So what we did is we got rid of these elements to see if there will be a downlift, if there will be a flat result. And I can tell you, without having the video, we came to a flat conclusion. So it's actually not beneficial, it's not harmful. For the infographic, it was rather a big problem, because we actually were facing a downlift. No, sorry, we saw an uplift by getting rid of it. And the conclusion to this one was, because of getting rid of this, the page is more performant, it loads faster, and you will find results of studies from Ronnie Kohavi at Amazon stating how much you can improve your conversion rate by making your page faster. So in the end, we were able to tell them, sorry, but you can fire your video editor. You can get rid of the graphic designer that is doing the infographics because you don't need them. Of course, that's not what we told them. I truly believe that video editors will find another project to work on for this kind of company, and of course, graphic designers will always find something to do in your company. But it's a typical thing to show how it might be beneficial to get rid of things. Another thing I realized throughout the last years, there are a lot of websites having these kind of trust badges or awards they have won. I'm not criticizing the ones mentioned above, but there are some where you actually don't have to have a good product, you just have to pay for it. Can this one be beneficial for your users? Yes, it can. And it's most often the case if your brand is not that well known, so people are challenging if you're trustworthy or not. Then this one can actually add benefit. Have you ever seen such kind of trust badges on Amazon? No way. You can go back with the Wayback Machine for the last decade and you will not find an element like this coming from Amazon. You may see it on some products, but what I'm trying to tell you is we all have so much trust in Amazon that we are not worried to be scammed and not receive the product. Even better, if there is a problem with the product we ordered, you can be sure that Amazon is rather on your side than on the side of the one selling the product. So they don't need such kind of trust badges. If you have them on your website and you became more popular throughout the last years and you're still paying for them, again, it's a quite easy test to get rid of them. Display none, or you will use your what you see is what you get editor. I don't mind the way. But that's a typical thing where you can actually save money and spend it somewhere else. And the last one I wanted to show you is the order process. I have an affinity for these kind of tests because it was actually the first A/B test I've ever run. I was working at an online shop selling Italian delicatessen, and I wrote my bachelor thesis on checkout optimization at a time where, well, we had to develop our own A/B testing tools because there were not many on the market, and the ones that were on the market were just not affordable for a company like us. So back to that one. That's probably, I would say it's the first step of the checkout. I don't consider the cart as already part of the checkout. So this is the first one. And if you ask your colleagues that are in charge of things like customer lifetime value, in terms of promoting, advertising, and so on, they will all tell you they want to have users that are creating an account, or, of course, your loyal customers can log in immediately. So, but there's also one part, order as a guest, and it might be interesting to get rid of this one. Even if it turns out that we will end up with less orders. Well, I love math, so we will do an analysis. How much is the worth of a registered users compared to someone that orders as a guest? And by solving this equation, even if we do less orders, we may still have a winner without offering a guest account. So, pretty easy examples on how to create an A/B test. Maybe it's kind of boring to you because you like to see 100 lines of codes for an experiment. But as I was trying to tell you in the beginning, I love simplicity, and I like to make it more easy for people to actually solve the riddle called user journey that we are offering to them. Let's wrap it up. The best advice I can give you is to question everything. I would say 70% of the success of this approach is research, and you know best how to do proper research. To me, if it comes to voice of customer things, which is one part of research I really love, there are dead ends on your product, on your website, that are just perfect to actually ask people. If someone is on the thank you page, what's the next action to be done? closing the tab or moving on to, I don't know, your favorite news website to see if we will have a proper new government or not. So this is the first one. The second one is, yes, let go of things. Of course, if you are the one that that we're conceptioning this kind of element or feature, you may have some kind of feelings to that one, but if it doesn't work, get rid of it. You will actually lower your cost, you have space for new things, and doing this is pretty easy. And as you were telling in the beginning, have fun. Have fun and win. So, thank you all for listening to me. Just one last thing, as someone who is constantly trying to optimize, I would love to get some feedback from you later on if I should do more presentations in English or if I shall go back to German or try it in French or Spanish or Hebrew. I don't care. Please, I would love to get your feedback later on.
Thank you so much, Christoph. We have time for questions. I think
Wonderful.
You can add speaking in English to your LinkedIn account.
Wonderful.
That's fine. We can do like a quick feedback here in the room. Let's rate Christoph's first speech in English here on a scale from 1 to 5 stars. 5 stars is very good. We love you so much. And you just hold your hands up whenever the number comes you want to give him.
Sorry for confronting you, but you should work on your qualitative research skills. We're in a speaker room or in an audience, so the question should rather be, who thinks I can do more presentation in English? Please raise your hands. Wonderful. Thank you.
You were scared to get 2 stars, actually.
But how do you manage to tell them to show the stars? Like fingers?
No, one hand's up at 1, 2, 3,
okay.
4. This is my job, actually. I do this from time to time, I promise.
No, but as I told you, I'm lazy. I don't want to ask them 5 questions.
No. But I'm a social scientist, so I also studied research like that. But thank you so much. Let's go to the questions.
Guess I owe you a Jägermeister shot or something else.
We shouldn't do that. Okay, let's get back to our audience. There's Simonetta over there. She has a microphone. That microphone is meant for you and your questions. What do you want to know? There's a first question over there. We have 2 or 3 minutes left for that.
Hi, thank you so much. So since this was very focused on optimizing checkout and e-commerce, do you have any advice for getting rid of features of a digital product after buying the product?
After buying the product? Can you
So
elaborate quickly?
I work for a language learning app, and let's say after the customer buys the product, now we have a lot of features and we want to experiment which one we can get rid of.
Oh yeah. Actually, I educated myself on product analytics some years ago. So I would tell you, start your research with the features that are used the least. Be bold and just get rid of them, and you will see immediately if you get complaints or not. So this is probably one way to start with it. You may face the fact that this feature is actually pretty helpful for a specific part of your audience, but at the same time, I love personalization, but to be honest, we cannot fulfill the dreams of 100% of your users. And if the costs to maintain this one is too high, well, we may lose some paying customers, but probably the product gets better for the other 95%, 98%. Was this kind of helpful? Wonderful.
Time for one more short question. There's one here, right here in the front.
Oh, thanks. So from our experience when we were facilitating A/B tests, we found that it takes quite a long time to actually get proper results from the A/B tests. Did you find any tools that could speed up the process?
Sorry to say, but that's statistics. You need a certain amount of users to come to a statistic result, but there is no general definition on what's statistic. So I have seen customers that are not taking 95% of significance rate, or 99%, or 99.9% like Amazon does. They took 80%. So what you're actually doing is you may have a higher risk of making a false decision, but if you do enough experiments, it doesn't matter that much. Just one note to it: don't lower significance rate when it comes to really high investments. Like if you want to test a new checkout process, you better be sure that it's actually working better when you have to invest, I don't know, 20, 30, 50K euro. But for the smaller ones, there's no issue with lowering significance rate. Or, since I love experimentation way more than I love A/B testing, there are also qualitative methodologies you can use to realize if this element or if this feature is actually helpful or isn't. Like surveys, like doing interviews, and so on, or just taking your product analytics to see that no one is using it. Then you most likely found something that no one is mad about if it's not there anymore.
Okay, for further questions, you need to catch Christoph during the networking time. We will be back here in 5 minutes with Laura Müller and how to infuse UX teams with generative AI. Thank you so much, Christoph Rottler.
Thank you.